And we're live. Welcome everybody to our special Brawlers Bash Endcap show. I'm certain you know me. I am Matiram, and with me is Michael, the only one of the two boys that went to Brawlers with me. So the whole purpose of this little video is to, since Michael didn't do battle reports of his, he's going to talk a little bit about sort of his 5 games and generally discuss our take on the tournament and stuff like that. So we do have the comments open in case there's anybody who is watching this live who would like to leave any questions. You can feel free. We will answer them. We've waited till this long. It's been about a week since the tournament, a little over a week at this point. Because I wanted to make sure that all 5 of my battle reports are up so I wasn't spoiling anything. So hopefully if you want to know how I did in each individual game, you can go check those videos out. This is going to be more general discussion for me. So anything you want to talk about to get us started, Michael?
Um, just that I'm quite thrilled that I enjoyed the tournament so much.
Well, that's
Getting that
you feel like you got the bug,
yeah,
the tournament
I do.
bug.
Yeah.
I gotta feel. I gotta admit, I'm feeling a little that way myself, though. I'm also recognizing the likelihood of making it to too many of them is unlikely just due to scheduling and time constraints. But so let's
All
go
we gotta
ahead
do is once
and
a
break.
year.
Right. Yeah, I definitely would like to do Brawlers again next year. That would be a lot of fun. Provided, of course, that the edition doesn't totally drop the community out of Warhammer. But so
Yeah.
let's go ahead and break it down a little bit. First thing I want to talk about is our thoughts on the venue. For those who don't know, the tournament was held in Durham, North Carolina, which is, well, give or take an hour from where we live, at this place called Atomic Empire. So, what are your first thoughts about the venue, Michael?
Oh my God. Oh, that place. It is. If I could die and go to heaven and there were tournaments in heaven, that's the store that would be there.
Okay, that's. I got to admit, I was very surprised to find a game store that good in North Carolina. Um, it's like I thought before this that probably the best game store I had been to was what's it called, Neutral Ground in Manhattan, and that's a big game store. But this was like all of the cool things about that game store plus an open bar.
Yeah, that was
So it
also really
was
nice.
like, yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's easily the best gaming store that I've seen in the state. So there may be others that are better. If anybody knows them, feel free to let us know. But Atomic Empire is about the best game store I've ever been to in the state of North Carolina. So what we would rate the venue then, A plus? Is that what we're hearing?
Oh yeah, it's definitely an A+. I give them better than that. They had an open bar. They know me.
Right. All right. So, venue, we got a win on. Let's talk a little bit about the tournament and how it was set up. Just for information, it looks like I'm looking at the final standings. There were a grand total of 60. I guess that'd be 64 players if you take out the ringer. But there were 3 withdraws. So I guess by the end there were 61 players that finished the tournament. Um, Tournament was pretty standard, 5 games, various scenarios, and the whole point of scoring uh, was you get what you kill in terms of the tournament points. So, um, I guess first of all, let's discuss, how did you feel the tournament was organized? Do you think it was run well? Did you interact much with the TOs?
I didn't really. I mean, I chit chatted with them out of when we weren't actually in the middle of the tournament, but actually needing them to come over and go, hey, no, this is how it's played. It was pretty laid back for what a tournament is, comparing that when I used to 40K tournament. I went in there with that, oh, this is gonna be a tournament, nobody's gonna like anyone, and came out going, yeah, everybody likes everyone. This was amazing.
Mhm. I agree. I thought the tournament was very well put together. There was obviously the sort of basic stuff. There was plenty of boards and terrain and everything, and the terrain was interesting and different from table to table, so that was good. Um, and actually, up until my fifth game, I didn't have much interaction with the TOs either. Though I have to say, for those of you who have watched the reports, you'll know the one I'm talking about. Um, there were quite a lot of rules questions in Game 5. So my opponent seemed very interested in getting the TO's opinion on various questions that I thought were very obvious. But the nice thing is that when in the times that we did get the TOs involved, they were polite. They came in, listened to what was going on, made their decision. It was very, very smooth. No big surprises, no big screw ups that I could see. So I definitely would give it an A plus in terms of well run tournament. You agree?
Oh yeah, definitely,
Okay.
definitely. They know how to run a tournament.
All right. So next, in terms of scenarios, there were 5 scenarios. How do you think? Do you think they were good? Did they add something to the games? Were they engaging? What do you think?
I'm a big fan of the tournament or the scenarios that the little hey, there's now a manticore in the middle that you must fight, and they added a neat element to it. But I
Mm-hmm.
almost feel like for the most part, all my me and all my opponents basically avoided that and fought it at the end,
Mm,
almost like they were point grabs.
right. Yeah, I can see that. I think for the most part I did too. Avoided it till the last little bit. Um, with the exception of the assassin,
Wow.
that, that like that I ran forward.
Yeah, but that was also, here's an extra character. I've got to get him in because that's how I get my points, kind of thing.
That's fine. Whatever. Okay. Sorry, the wife getting ready for a grocery run and was confirming things with me. Bottled water is bottled water, right? There's no secret. It all comes out of a tap, and they run it through an expensive process to charge you for the bottle, right?
I'm pretty sure they don't even run it through a filter or anything. I'm pretty sure they just take
Right.
it out of the tap.
Right. Okay. um. So yeah, I think in general the scenarios were cool. I would have maybe liked to see something that messed with deployment a little more, because really deployment was just sort of 5 battle line styles.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I thought they were very interesting. Um, Definitely different. Now, I guess I wasn't sure what to expect in the scenarios, but they were all fun, and none of them had too many rules. Like I wasn't forgetting them in the middle of the game, so that was good. Um,
Yeah.
so let's go on and talk a little bit about your games. If you want to give kind of a summary of your 5 games and bring us up, and then we'll talk a little bit about the individual game experiences.
Well, the first game was fantastic. Played Orcs and Goblins. We pretty much tied because he couldn't break me. It took me. Both of our big combat bricks just basically didn't get into combat with each other. I think I killed, or no, I made a Fanatics panic, and my hammers took a table core and got me some extra points. But we basically drew. We didn't get to really bloodbath each other how I guess we really had wanted to. But
Mm-hmm.
awesome dude to play against. Andy. I don't know if he watches YouTube or anything, but awesome guy. Game two was that was the
Demons.
Demons of Chaos. Yeah. That was the triple bloodthirster list. That triple bloodthirster list in Skull Cannon. If you haven't played it yet, it hurts. It hurts real bad, especially when your cannons go, "Oh, we're not gonna do anything." Um, he tabled me. I think I got like 700 points from like objective stuff. Beyond that, it was like, oh, I don't have anything on the table. I don't think I took a single. I think I might have taken like a 10-man unit from him or something.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't bad or anything. It was just like it was a fun game. It was just ow. That was a rock hard tournament list.
Right.
Um, Game 3 was against Ben, who we went out afterwards, had drinks with him, Tuna, and Chris. Fantastic guys. They are amazing. I would love to tourney with them every year. Ben was so nice to let me claim like 4,700 points off of him.
I'm sure that was his plan. He recognized that you were a first-time tournament goer and decided to take one for the team to make sure you had a good time. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed the fact that I stepped on his mangler with my hammers just so it wouldn't go eat my line. And I think it killed like all but 4 hammers. But luckily, you only had to have 4 hammers to keep the stubborn bear. um, yeah, that was such a fun game. And that was the final trans one that I ended up actually getting really lucky with and sitting one unit next to it, and that unit lost a dude a turn.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely a lot of fun. And then the second day, I kind of wish they wouldn't match the same races against each other because it makes it very difficult to do anything. For instance, playing Blood and Glory against dwarves when you're playing dwarves, no one gets anything there.
Right. I would go ahead and say I think that's a problem that's unique to the dwarves. Like, I think you could pair
Oh
up
yeah,
most other armies and you would have a more engaging fight than you had in that game 4.
fantastic guy to play against. I mean, he was wonderful about it. We sat there and shot this shit. His cannons couldn't do anything. Mine couldn't do anything. It basically came down to combat. But by the time we got to combat, because we're dwarves, it took us turn 4 before we got to combat, and then we're dwarves and nobody breaks, nobody loses anything, and
So it
we
just
we
took you too
pretty much
long.
yeah. It took us way too long to get into combat to do anything. Nobody could break, and
Mm.
fun game though. Fun guy. He was awesome. And then game 5 was against Brian, who actually lives in Greensboro or High Point or Jamestown, very nearby. And he was playing Chaos Dwarves. If none of you guys have ever played against a Kadai Destroyer, that thing needs to die first and foremost. Kill
Yeah.
it first. Don't let it near you.
I'll say this, and I think I
They
said
hurt.
this on Warhammer Weekly last week, but my 5th game was over so quick, like an hour into it, a little more than that. I went over to Michael's table, and I see the entire Chaos Dwarf army still in their deployment zone, and all of Michael's dwarves are like off to the side in ranks, and I'm like, man, aren't you going to deploy? You've lost an hour of game time, and he's like, I have. This is the end of the game, and he pointed to one lone hammer that was up against the line of the Chaos Dwarves, and that was all he had on the table.
That hammer is becoming a character.
You should. He should be your general for the new campaign.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
He
He
survived the
fought the chaos.
beatdown of Chaos Dwarves and made his way to the Border Princes, right?
Yeah, he's just like, all right, everybody else has dwarves around here. You 7 dudes from the end time, come with me.
Right. But
Right. And Brian's a fantastic guy. it was a fantastic game there too. It was a hurt gun line, and it definitely did some pain. Although I did manage to kill all of its war machines like turn 5.
Yeah. But so sounds like it was a pretty challenging setup for you. I think we should probably go ahead and reveal our individual scores at this point, and then we'll kind of get discussing what we were thinking in each about each game and whatnot. So for those of you that remember, there was a little bet going on between myself and Michael about who would place higher. So the loser of which is going to have to wear a hat of the winner's choosing for 3 consecutive narrations and lamentations. So to go over the scores, first we have Michael. He landed 51st place in the tournament with a grand score of 18,871 points. He got hair over 10,000 in battle points, 3,900 in sports. Is that the next? Yep. 3,900 in sports, and 2,875 in paint. Which, and also the other thing they kept track of was how many characters and monsters you killed. He killed 15 characters and 1 monster during the tournament.
Yeah, Ben gave me a lot of characters.
Right. I think you did all 14 of those in that one game against him, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. 14 of those were in one game. It was amazing. I went, hey Ben, how many characters do you have? Oh, I had 14. What?
Fantastic. All right, so I did actually edge Michael out. I landed in 36th place with a total of 22,072 battle points. 13,147 of those were actual combat points. My sportsmanship was 3,300. I guess that means I'm a bigger dick than you are. However, my painting score was quite a bit higher than yours. It ended up being 3625. So about 800-point difference. I killed 14 characters, but I do have to admit I spread mine out through all the games. I didn't get them all at once. And landed 3 monsters. So Michael will be sporting the Hat of Shame for 3. I don't know if it'll be this week's because I don't think we'll see each other for me to give it to him between now and then. But
we won't.
It will start the week after next, and he will be wearing a hat that my parents actually brought back from Disney World because they were in Disney World the week of the tournament. Since there were 7 dwarves at the tournament, I had them buy Michael a nice pink Snow White hat that he will be wearing to acknowledge my greatness. So, knowing that, because I don't, had you had a chance to look at all of the numbers that I just read off yet, Michael?
No, I didn't.
So, now that you kind of know where you placed and everything, how do you feel you did? How was your performance?
Worse than when I played 40K, but I had a much better time.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a big, big thing. Like, yeah, who cares? I didn't do that great. I also didn't take a straight gunline dwarf list. I took combat heavy dwarf list.
Right.
And it wasn't a Vanguard list either. So I enjoyed this tournament more than I've ever enjoyed a 40K tournament.
That's very good. For me, I was actually very pleased with how I did. I was low in terms of the ogres. I was, I think, the second to last ogre player. But if you look at who I was matched up with, I actually placed higher than almost every one of the people I played, including Once Bitten, though I won't give away his actual score because I'm sure he'll talk about that in his own videos. And the only fella that I played that did better than me was the High Elf player with the crazy White Lion Mega Death Star that I played in Game 4, and he beat me out by exactly 50 points. So, like literally
One
50
great eagle.
points. Yeah, that would have been it. But so I think in terms of my play, I think I was tight. I was hitting what I needed to hit. I came up with just a terrible game 5 in terms of matchups. Um, and that I think stopped me from being any higher. It really knocked me down like crazy. Like I think at the end of turn 4 standings, I was at like 24th or 25th, and then after that last game, I got knocked all the way down to 36th because of how that final game turned out. But all in all,
It
I
could have
thought
been
it
worse.
was. Yeah, it could have been much worse. I thought my play and my general participation in the tournament was right where I wanted it to be. So um, I think if I had maybe brought a harder list, I could have done better, but that's not really what I was looking for. For somebody who came in just looking to have a good time, I'm very happy with my placement. So uh, I guess now that all those numbers are out of the way, here's my first question to you, Michael, specifically about your games. Which one of the 5 games was your favorite?
Oh, I'd have to say Game 3 was Ben, mainly
Mm-hmm.
because while I had so much fun with everybody else, we actually went out and hung out with Ben and them, and pretty much made new friends out of it.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree.
That and he gave me like almost 5,000 points. So
Okay, so that's how it is. You like the one that you won. And actually, you didn't do
I
bad. You did what? 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. Is that what you ended up with?
no, it was 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss.
Okay, two
No,
wins,
no,
two
no,
draws.
no, no. It was 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw because I forgot I played Brian in the very last game, and he
Right.
destroyed me.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up with 3 wins, 2 losses. I know that doesn't mean a lot in terms of brawlers, but it was kind of nice to discuss. The nice thing is I think we both ended up at our better than our 1,500 points a game target by quite a
Oh,
large
easily.
margin. Um, so for me, I actually have to say I've been thinking about this for a while. I think my favorite game was Game 4 against Chris Kane. Um, it wasn't one that I mean I won it, but it was not a huge blowout in terms of brawlers win. But I think it pushed me in ways that some of the other games didn't. In that I had this just big ball of death on the field in terms of that white lion bus, and I had to kind of change my mindset and figure out how to avoid that and deal with what I can deal with. And then on top of that, my Iron Guts just showed that they were absolute ballers when they went and trashed that Phoenix Guard unit. That is that is an undertaking I will probably never see them perform ever again, but it was awesome to see them stomp a mud hole in those sons of bitches. So, at the risk of some more downvotes, because apparently nobody likes expressing negativity on the internet for some strange ass reason, um, what do you think was your worst game?
It was the Demon's Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I got tabled, not because of that. Because of one moment in there when I'm pretty sure I was still able to challenge out his Bloodthirster with my Dwarf Lord who would have killed him.
Just because you guys got the rule wrong, and yeah, I can
Well,
see
it's
that.
more that it's more that I specifically said no, he can't do that. He's on the corner here with me. I can't attack him, and basically didn't want to involve the TOs. He's a nice guy. I didn't want to be like, no, let's get a rules guy over here. Just like, all right, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
And I feel like had I done that, I would have saved my entire unit there, taken out Bloodthirster, and probably won that combat.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that I think we both learned is that so many of these games can come down to one sort of crucial turn or crucial combat, and that things move very, very quickly in the tournament style.
They do.
Um, I think anybody who watched my battle reports can very easily guess my least favorite was Game 5 against the gun line. Um, Again, not necessarily that I lost or lost badly or whatever. I don't know. It felt like a game that wasn't really a game. And then on top of that, it was the least visually impressive army that I played against. I mean, that was one of the things that just blew me away about this tournament, is getting to play just absolutely gorgeous armies that it was obvious that folks had put a lot of time and effort into. And I felt bad that sort of my last taste of the tournament for this year was someone that just wasn't. And again, in fairness to him, from what I heard from the rumor mill, he had like dropped like wall some stuff, I don't even know what it was, drywall maybe, on his models, and they broke. But I don't know. They looked a little uniformly incomplete for that to be the case, unless he just, like, he broke all his models and then went out and bought brand new ones and assembled them, which I guess is theoretically possible. It just seems a little silly. But all in all, I felt like that didn't live up to the fun of the other games. I mean, even when I played Once Bitten and got my tail whipped, like, that was an engaging-looking army. We played all facets of the game. And I know I'll get some hate for that. I've already gotten a bunch of downvotes on that. Like, the dwarves have snuck out to downvote me for talking bad about their gun lines. But you don't hate me for that, do you, Michael?
Not particularly. I feel like the dwarves should be more than, oh, we've got cannons and organ guns.
Mm. So, was there somebody there that you saw that you would have liked to have had the opportunity to play that you didn't? That you didn't get matched up again?
The what I was supposed to play Table 2 from the original list before they had to revise it with new points was the Ogre player that was there. And he was running basically the same list you were running. And I was like, oh, I know what this list does. I know how to counter this list. Like, I could table this dude. And then they put me with the demons, and I went, oh, I'm screwed. Like,
I still think you're stretching. I still think you're stretching your capabilities there. You beat me one game out of 5, and you're like, I can handle that list. I can table him.
It's more, I knew what to worry about, where to worry about.
Right.
I knew, okay, he gets within this range, that's bad. With the Demons of Chaos, I don't play them that often, so it was more, oh, what do I go after?
So what you're really saying is that you want me to beat you to death with Bloodthirsters more often.
No, because when you bring Bloodthirsters, I will cannon them off the table, because at a tournament, my cannons might not work, but at the dinner table, yes, they will work.
For me, I think there were actually 2 folks that I would have liked to play that I was sad that I didn't get the opportunity. The first was Ken Stubbs. He is, as I understand it, a pretty legendary Orc and Goblin player in these parts. And just hell of a guy from everything that I got to meet him, and he seems like a great guy. But his list was a 100-man block of Night Goblins with a wall of characters in front of it. And just seeing that big, massive block moving around on the table, I was like, that would have been a fun game to play against. And number 2, just because he's a fellow YouTuber, I would have loved to have gotten a game against Tuna Sandwichify.
Yeah.
He's a fun guy. We hung out with him that night. I would have loved to have faced him across the table. As a side note, I was looking at it, and unless I'm very much mistaken, I was actually the highest ranked YouTuber at the tournament. Now, that's not as impressive as it might have been in other years, because there aren't that many of us. But let me double check that before I run off at the mouth. Yeah, because so I was ahead of Shimmer Gloom, Once Bitten, Tuna Sandwichify. We'll count you. And So all of the ones I know, there may be other YouTubers that are there that scored higher than me, but if they do, I don't recognize their channels. So that's another little feather in my cap if I have to go for one. But it was fun. Um, so I think we already discussed this, but I'll let you reiterate it if it's the case. What do you think was your biggest tactical blunder during the tournament?
Against Brian, I decided to shoot my cannons at his Kadai Destroyer instead of his War Machines.
Mm-hmm.
Had I done that, I would have probably saved at least half of my army. And the letting his spell kill my general and not my BSB, because everybody knows I have my fear of ever losing a BSB,
Right.
was a big deal because my general got turned around and Kadai Destroyer and be like, "You're dead."
Mm-hmm. I can see that. I think my biggest blunder probably came in game one. I mean, other than a lot of people were yelling, well, not yelling at me, were commenting that in game five I should have just deployed myself as a single thin fat line at the back corner and not let the dwarf player get his organ guns into me, which is an arguable tactic. It probably would have saved me some death, but it wouldn't have accomplished what I was trying to do in killing models. And I would feel a little dirty doing it that way, though the argument was placed that when you're facing that kind of list, you got to play a little dirty to overcome it. But I actually think my biggest blunder was game one against Once Bitten. I had the opportunity when his demigriffs charged me. I think I charged them. But anyway, I was holding demigriffs up with 3 man-eaters, and I had the opportunity to do a flank charge to set up for a flank charge with the lead belchers, which probably would have broken that unit of demigriffs. And instead, I chose to turn the lead belchers and go after the steam tanks, trying to shoot holes in them. And I think, I didn't think much of it at the game, but several people in the video pointed it out to me. Even Once Bitten himself was like, "You should have done that," and I'm like, "Yeah, I absolutely should have done that." Um, what was your best moment of the of the tournament? Any moments of tactical brilliance or just absolute badassery that you'd like to share with the viewing audience?
Um, hmm. Let's see. In game 2 and 3, I was able to actually successfully charge with my dwarves. Um, Against the guy playing with the Demons of Chaos, I actually charged 3 of my units into his horde. He was no, it was 2 of my units in his horde. He was holding my Ironbreaker, holding him, and my hammers went into your front, and then my Longbreaker Great Weapons went into his side. That was a nice setup for a dwarf trap there. And then against Ben, he was fighting my Longbridge with shield, and my Ironbreaker was just far enough over to come in on a flank charge and just demolish his Savage Orcs, which was yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to interrupt before I answer mine, as we got a comment from Tuna. He mentions that I did beat his score, but we did discuss why he didn't get a certain amount of points in one of his games on Saturday, mainly because one of my opponents didn't understand the points of Brawlers. There's some of that there. I definitely have heard from others. It's weird though, because Brawlers is one of those tournaments that, by playing normally, your opponents are kind of unintentionally screwing you. Because, I mean, everyone, and I did it, I even did it to my high elf player on turn 4, or game 4, in that I wasn't thinking, and so I was like, ooh, I need to prove these points, and I ran away from him going, and then I was like, you know what, why the hell did I even bother doing that? Because it didn't get me any points, and who cares if I lose points? But he said he had a blast both at the tournament as well as hanging out with us. So Absolutely ditto, my friend. It was a good time meeting you. We will certainly have to do it again sometime. If you and your crew are ever down North Carolina way again, definitely hit us up. We'll make it happen.
Oh yeah.
So, my biggest sort of my high point, I think, was actually during Game 3 against the Legion of the Chaos, when I was dealing with like the unkillable freaking Doom Bull and all that crap. I was working character walls like I had never worked them before in that game, and just the fact that my ogre unit with the two wizards managed to hold out long enough where I got that just enough of a win to break his Doom Bull and run him down and kill him. And that, like, I seriously wanted to stand up and cheer at that point, but I held it in because I thought it lacked decorum. But I was cheering on the inside because that freaking Doom Bull on a flying carpet, 3-up rerollable ward save, something stupid like that. It was like, holy crap, how do I kill this thing? And it just goes to show you, all you got to do is beat it by one combat res, and
This is why I like Leadership 10 Stubborn.
right. Well, you know what? If he was if he was Leadership 10 Stubborn and all those other things in terms of a flying Doom Bull with 3-up ward save, I might have just flipped the table and taken my loss.
Yeah.
So let's see. We discussed. I'm trying to remember everything we talked about. I want to make sure we've gotten as much coverage as people want. I don't think we've got very many viewers. It might just be Tuna, to be honest with you.
That's okay.
But I'm sure folks will see this later and comment on it. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's take the flip of that last question. If there is something that you would do different, either in terms of your play or your army list, what would it be?
After knowing how my cannons and war machines did in the tournament, I would have just left them at home and brought more dwarves because they were here's a free 150 points. Here's a free 150 points. Go ahead and take that. They haven't done anything.
See, I don't look so stupid for leaving mine at home now, do I?
It's just terrible. I mean, my cannons and Oregon always perform for me, and then they fright the second they hit a tournament board. Oh, great.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I think if I were to do anything different in terms of my list, if I knew I was sort of playing the same armies, I probably would have left the Yetis at home. I put them in because I was expecting a lot of Lore of Undeath, summoning ethereal crap in my way, and I really didn't face any of that. My one VC player used Lore of Vampires and Lore of Death, so I didn't face any undeath at all. And the Yetis, they were okay, but I certainly think I could have done better with another, like, 2 man-eaters in my smaller group, or bring up the Iron Gut unit to, like, what was it, 7? Bring them up to 10 instead of 7. That would have been a much bigger unit, much more punch. But other than that, I was actually really, really impressed with how the list worked. I still don't think it changed my views on the Hellheart. I still think the Hellheart is a crutch.
Oh, God.
Now,
Oh,
admittedly,
God.
it's a crutch that I took and beat 3 of my 5 opponents over the head with, but still a crutch.
That first game,
cool.
I called it.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool, but it's one of those things, it's like, it's so good that I almost feel bad when it goes off. Like that first game against Once Bitten, when it popped 3 or 4 of his mages from the Light Council, I gotta admit, I felt a little dirty watching those suckers just explode. But, I mean, luckily, Once Bitten's a great guy, so we all kind of laughed it off, and he was even like, no, I knew that it was there. Why did I move them up? But it did. It made me feel a little dirty. I I'm glad I'll be back to casual games for a little while and sitting it off to the side. Um,
Yeah.
so let's see. Apparently, John Talby is watching us. Hi, John. And Tuna says he definitely needs to get us to a quote-unquote normal tourney, one where you actually play the game as intended, not killing everything you can. Swedish Comp wasn't horrible, but he says most likely it's going to be later this year for him in regards to the next tourney. I can definitely see that. I don't even know what the future is going to hold for us tourney-wise. Um,
I've got one question for Tuna though.
yeah.
Um, I thought that was the normal tournament. Is we just move across board to kill everything. Have I been playing that wrong?
No, no, that's a normal tournament if you're playing ogres.
Oh,
That's
am
how
I
we
playing
do
the wrong
everything.
lines then?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I
Okay.
think that the point is that in a normal tournament you will be trying to protect your ship more than you do in this particular. I mean, you're a dwarf, so you're a certain amount of defensive anyway. But I tell you, for
Yeah.
most of those games, I was not giving two shits how many ogres died if I managed to put the crush on somebody. That was a lot of fun. Like at playing an army like the ogres, that was a hell of a lot of fun. Just to be like, screw it, kill them all. But no, definitely, I would love to get into another tournament. It would be for somebody who was so sort of nervous and apprehensive about doing tournaments before this. I think this very much changed my mind on the local play tournaments and the local community. So
Yeah.
it was a very, very positive experience for me all over. So here is the next question for you, Michael. Let's say you decided to switch it up for next Brawlers. Just pretending that 8th edition is still going, because we don't know what 9th is going to be. What other army do you think would be good that you would be interested in taking to a tournament like Brawlers?
Well, after playing the dwarves at the tourney, I kind of realized, oh yeah, I need an army that can actually move across the board because that's a big part of it.
Mm,
Um, I'd 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 probably bring the high elves and go heavy cav.
I could see that. I don't know. I could see myself bringing my demons. I think my demons could get the job done. And I don't know how good they would be, but I'm really like in a lizard man frame of mind, so I would like to see how a lizard man. I mean, I've got a long way to go before I can field 3,000 points, but like that would be. I just finished 1,000 points, and I'm like, I don't want to paint anymore. No,
Oh,
actually,
don't
I
feel
am.
that way.
I just primed up my Slan Mage Priest, so he's going to be the next on the target block. I didn't realize how intricate this chair is. This chair is going to take me 2 weeks to paint by itself. That's before I even touch the freaking Slan that sits in it. But yeah, I think the ogres are almost perfectly suited for this kind of play, though. I mean, they're really, when they're given a point not to have to worry about how many of them die and can just push forward and grab hold of things. I think it's a good show. So here's the next question. In our preview, our entry show, we predicted that the fact that we made more balanced lists than many that we were seeing was going to be a benefit to us. Do you think that was the case?
Um, Not really for me. They kind of looked at it and went, "Oh, you're dwarves. Oh, I know how to fight dwarf lines."
Right. So do you
Just
feel
like,
like you just, as dwarves, you couldn't bring a balanced enough list to make it work, or do you think you should have skewed it more to get more punch out of it?
I think the issue is that the balanced dwarf list is a standardized. Here's a handful of war machines, some chaff, combat break, and it's I mean because dwarf lists don't really vary far from that because they go and oh I take this and now my army is completely useless.
Right. Um, Strangely enough, I actually did think that the fact that I was more balanced definitely helped me. Um, I definitely noticed a few of my opponents were very uncertain of how to deal with ogres when they weren't like a big gut star style. Having basically 3 units that were combat capable and able to handle multi threats definitely seemed to give me some advantage in a couple of games. Particularly the vampire counts I played in game 2, I was able to kind of handle each of his threats individually, so nothing I had got overwhelmed. And pound for pound, with the possible exception of that the Blender Lord he had, my ogre's unit on unit handled pretty much anything he had. So I think if I had gone with a more sort of traditional gut star style design, I probably would have been more overwhelmed there, because he could have brought that big horde of ghouls in, hit me in the front with his Graveguard and his Blender Lord, and definitely handled me better than with my threats being more spread out.
Yeah.
So, definitely sounds like we would both go again. I honestly, one of the things that I thought was pretty funny was everybody was telling me, "Oh, by the end of Game 5, you're going to be exhausted and you're not going to want to touch models again." It's like, as soon as that 5th game was over, I was ready to do another tournament right then and there. I'd have sat down for another 5 games if we had the time. I don't know, maybe it's just that excitement of the first tournament, but like I think you and I talked for an hour and a half on the way home and during dinner that night, just a buzz about Warhammer.
Oh yeah.
So,
I do it again.
So what do you think was the best part of the experience?
The general just welcoming feeling of the tournament. Everybody was friendly. Everybody was talking, joking. You know, oh yeah, your models are cool. Oh hey, that's neat. Oh yeah, I play this and this, and it was just I've been in tournaments before. I've dreaded tournaments just from past experiences, and this tournament basically erased that. It made it like, oh yeah, I do this multiple times.
Oh, Jesus. So apparently my wife from the other room has put 2 questions. Question 1, and this is going to get me in a damn doghouse. If I spent 2 nights until 5 a.m. making you a sweet display board to take to Brawlers, would you leave it in the car that you use like a men's room toilet bowl at a bottomless chili restaurant? I have never once shit in my car, just for the record. For over a week, or would you take it inside and give it a place of honor? Now, in my defense, it has been raining like crap here, and then I've had to work, so I haven't brought it in. So, ideally, it needs to come in, though I have no idea where it's actually going to go in the house, so it's probably safer in the car at the moment. Pain in the ass. And then, if I were buying alcohol from you, would you card me? Probably. You don't look old enough to buy booze. You got that childlike thing going on. She's about to come out here and throw something at me. I'm waiting for it. It might be the bottle, so if you see like glass shatter against my head, you know what happened. She's patting me on the head. I think she's getting drunk in the other room because she wasn't able to go to Brawlers. That's the story I'm using for at least this video. So I actually have 2 things that I think were kind of my favorite. I obviously agree with you that I thought the level of camaraderie was awesome. From a purely ego-stroking point of view, I thought it was cool how many people recognized me as Materam. Most of these folks had never seen me before, and there were a number of people throughout the tournament that either recognized the army or recognized me from the show and was like, "Hey, are you Materam?" And it's like, that kind of warmed my heart a little bit that we're at least being seen by other people. So that made me pretty happy. But the other thing that I thought was awesome was the opportunity to get to see some amazing freaking hobbyists. Um, there's this
Oh,
fella there. For those of you who do any tournamenting in the Mid Atlantic, you know who I'm talking about. Named Gabe Thorne, and this man has the best Warriors of Chaos army I have ever seen in my life. Just yeah, I mean, just absolutely put anything I've ever seen to shame. I don't know what this guy does with his real life, but he's an artist without parallel as far as I've seen. To the point that actually, they at Brawlers they have renamed the painting competition the Gabe Thorne Golden Brawler painting competition because he's won it basically every time that he's participated. Um, but
yeah.
he had this just amazing Warriors of Chaos army on this display board that was like a burning castle, and there was like black smoke coming out of the castle, and he could push a button on his cell phone, and like lights would flash like the explosions were going off, and you'd hear sound effects, and I mean it was just like next level shit. Just at like a
Oh
level
yeah.
that I would not have conceived existed before we went and saw that. And it's just like you look at something like that, and I know I don't know about you, but the feeling I had was like, damn, I want to make something look good.
Oh my god, those models.
It was
Oh,
it was
that
wild.
dragon.
Yeah,
That
he
dragon.
had this giant. I think he said it was Forge World, but it's this giant chaos dragon that's like split down the middle in the two heads, and I mean just absolutely gorgeous. And I swear it looked like if I'd reached out and touched the area where it was split, that it would be like sticky and putrid, like that. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So don't need to fanboy that one up too much, but I definitely thought
Oh, we can really
seeing.
fanboy that up.
Right. And he wasn't the only great one. There were a lot of folks there who had put just an amazing amount of time in their models, and had really done stuff that I hadn't thought of before. And I mean, even the fella I played, the Vampire Counts fella I played from Bromance Wargaming, the second game, um, he did like I've been pretty vocal with the fact that I hate the Terrorgeist model. I think they're ugly. I don't like them at all. But he did this thing where he was like, he put some of the buildings from the Garden of Moor and had the Terrorgeist basically rising up over the buildings like he was climbing over them. And just something about the how dynamic that pose was actually made me like that model. And I was like, you know what? That's actually a great way of doing that. Um, so I think it was cool to be able to see stuff that I just would not have thought to do. And I think the idea is, I know you were saying it super energized you to get back to painting your high elves.
Yeah, I needed that energy too.
Yeah, you were. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody how you were feeling after you finished painting your dwarves? Because the terminology you used was cracking me up.
Oh, I don't remember. It's,
I'd say you wanted to stab
it's
yourself in
so.
the eye with your paintbrush so you didn't have to paint
Oh
anymore.
yeah, yeah. So okay, so I was talking about just taking my paintbrush while I'm sitting there painting dwarves. Just had that evil little thought of I'm just gonna jam this in my eyeball. I'm gonna jam two in each eye, and that way when I show up abroad with an unpainted arm, I'm like, dude, I'm blind. What do you want from me?
uh, but yeah, it was really like astonishing watching Michael because when I picked him up or when we left here on Friday to go to the tournament, he was just so down. I was like, I'm never painting another model again. Fuck Warhammer. I don't care about this. This is gonna be a miserable weekend. And then seeing him at the end of the tournament, he was so happy. It was like, I want to go home and paint right now.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Yeah. I think so. What was your biggest regret? I guess if there were any.
Um, Not drinking more.
I think my biggest regret was not having Skip there.
Yeah, no,
I think he would have
yeah,
loved it.
Skip would have
Not
loved
to
it.
mention that he would have won the best Tomb Kings player because there wasn't a Tomb Kings player there.
Yeah,
It would have made him happy to get a little plaque to hang on his wall. But no, I thought it was a great experience. It just didn't quite feel right without all three of us there.
yeah. I'm with you there. I changed my answer. I wish Skip had been there.
But so let me see. I think Alicia's like, oh, like regretted that she wasn't there. And I would have liked her to be there, but I also know we would have had to call the cops on her by the end of game 2 with as little as she likes hardcore tournament style play.
She could have just played against Vin.
Right. One too many. Actually, she could have played against, like, that was the fun thing. There was one out of 65 players. There was one woman. And I don't want to sound misogynistic or anything, but she brought like the most stereotypically female army I could imagine. Like it was an undead army, but she did it all to the theme of Alice in Wonderland. Like her terror geists were these like dollar store dinosaurs that were like this big that she painted to look like Tweedledee and Tweedledum and attached wings to it. It was just, I mean, it was even like my fellow played in game 3. Like he had a female friend who was coming to watch, and even she was talking shit about the army. She was like, "That is so girly."
Oh.
So, I think Alicia certainly could have repped for the female gender a little less stereotypically, right? At least in terms of her painting work. But no, it would have been fun. I just don't think that's her thing. I mean, she usually is done after one game of Warhammer when she's playing around us. Of course, that may be just that we're assholes. Maybe it's just that we're assholes and she doesn't like playing with us.
That makes sense. Yeah, what's wrong with us?
I don't know. But I'm willing to take that as a potential explanation. I bet she's texting me now. No, okay. That's probably just an email. It's like, because she can hear everything I'm doing. So she just now resubscribed to me. That means she must have unsubscribed to me at some point in the past. Pain in my ass.
That was one of those.
That was one of those that I've been losing. Dirty pool, sweetie. Dirty pool. All right. Well, I think, unless you have any other topics you wanted to cover about the tournament, I think we've run out of all the questions I wanted to discuss.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
The only other thing is we need to come up with a better team name before the next time we go.
Oh God, yeah. And we had to have shirts, and I got to knit that banner out of beard hair. You see, I got rid of the beard. You don't want to hear that right now.
Yeah, that was what Michael was talking about. Apparently, some of the gaming clubs actually do their own standards that they bring with them. So Michael said he's going to knit ours out of beard hair, which was frankly disgusting. But
I want my beard's clean.
Right. Right now, I think we're leaning towards the Fluff Masters, since that's kind of what we do here on the channel. But if there are any other thoughts for names, we will entertain them. So if anybody is watching this and has watched to the end, we've been going for almost an hour now. Alicia says, Jake and the Fat Man? Bitch. God. Why did I marry her again? Any rate. So if you have any ideas that are not blatantly insulting, go ahead and put them below, and we'll at least consider them. I was going to try and get you to draw a picture for the t-shirt, but nah. So, all right, well, I hope everybody enjoyed all our coverage of Brawlers. I know it was a lot of fun. We definitely are going to try and go again next year if they're still running it. And I would like, if we can arrange it at all, to get to another one sometime later this year, but I have no idea if that's even likely to happen at all. But hope you
Yeah.
guys all enjoyed it, and thanks for the 3 or 4 of you that popped in and was watching this live. Hopefully we weren't too boring. Um, so good night, everybody.
Good night.